Number 15, I reward myself for following the proper process regardless of the outcome. Now, this one, as I kind of alluded to earlier, kind of contradicts the only reason to trade, right? And the only reason to trade is to make money. And as I've said before, usually when I'm speaking in person, I'll say, why do you trade? Why do you want to trade? And I'll get a lot of answers, and sometimes third or fourth or fifth answer is to make money. That's the only reason. Why would you put yourself through all this hell? Seriously, okay? It's not like the YouTube gurus, use that term loosely, where oh yeah, here's my Lambo, I work 20 minutes a day, blah blah blah. I'm glad, not to be schadenfreude, but I'm glad a bunch of them that were all together in a little group, they got sued for $121 million for defrauding people. So that's good. That's good. So, but a whole new bunch has come along, so it doesn't matter. They're like cockroaches. Number 15, I reward myself for following the proper process regardless of the outcome. So this does not contradict the only reason to trade. You need to enjoy the process. And I forget who it was, John Z or Chris A CJ put a link to an article and I can get it to you if you want. I can put it in the comments below. Put a link to an article on enjoying the process. So you really do have to enjoy the process, okay? So yeah, you can make money doing this, but you better enjoy the process. And longer term, the process is going to make you money, okay? So the two are not mutually exclusive. So if you say, why do you want to trade? I enjoy the process. Okay, that's a viable answer, but your number one answer is to make money, and number two would be enjoy the process. And again, you better enjoy the process if you're going to put yourself through this ringer. But it's worth it. Longer term, it is worth it. It's over the short term, when it's choppy like this, it is not, okay? And then it's even harder on me because clients are reminding me when things aren't going well. It's like, I know they're not going well. I have my own money on the line too. But anyway, you want to reward yourself for following the proper process regardless of the outcome. And Linda Raskey, in one of her videos, she talked about someone, and at the end of the day, he get together with his team, and it's like, how well do we do following the process? He didn't say, did we make money today or did we lose money today? He's like, how well did we do following the process? And I thought that was pretty good. As I often preach, the market could be a really bad teacher. Crypto heats up, somebody new will come to crypto, and they'll make a bunch of money. Kid in the gym, not to pick on him, but he's probably not watching tonight. He made 5,000 in one of these little shit coins. It was one that you had to he saw it on Twitter that was being pumped and dumped, right? And you had to put it in this wallet from this thing and do this. It had to jump through all these hoops to buy this shit coin. And if you got to do all that, I would say it's probably not a good idea. Oh, Kevin Bacon, I got you, Brian. But anyway, he went through all this trouble and he made $5,000. Well, he hadn't said a word about, he asked me how's the markets every day, and I tell him what's going on. It's choppy, whatever. But he's been awfully quiet. So I have a feeling that he might have blown up that $5,000. And that's because he got lucky and he wasn't following the process. Anyway, so you need to learn to love the process. In Viewpoints of a Commodity Trader, which I couldn't find right before I went live, I recommend you read the book. Get a paper copy because the older copies are valuable. And I gave mine away like an idiot, but that's okay. That's another story for another time. I bitched about giving away so much that Mike P sent me a new copy of the paper copy, the paperback copy. But anyway, great book. That's one of the million little things. Read that book. That's also listed on Viewpoints of a Commodity Trader by Roy Longstreet, and that's also in the books to read. He who seeks only silver will never be happy with silver. And I think that's how it read in the book. And then when I did a little research on that, that's Ecclesiastes 5:10, or a bastardization of it for sure. I love getting whacked. Please, sir, may I have another? I don't know about that. Nobody likes losses, of course. Now, if you did everything correctly, the trade failed miserably, then chalk it up to shit happens, okay? I tell the story all the time. I was at the grocery store years ago, and something happened, and I looked over at my wife, and I'm like, well, shit happens. And the large black lady behind me is like, sometimes twice. And it was just really funny. So, hey, watch your phraseology. How can I get better versus why do I suck, okay? So if you lose on a trade, which you will, go in and say, okay, I didn't pick the best or whatever. How could I get better? Maybe I need a checklist like a pilot, okay, of all the things I need to do, like put the landing gear down when you land, right? Maybe I need that list, okay, versus why do I suck? And you know, the markets will beat you up enough, and people around you beat you up enough. No need to beat yourself up unless you really deserve it, okay? Now, do constantly look at everything to make sure that you are following the proper process, okay? Earlier today, the proper process would have been for me to put in the IPT, initial profit target, and put in that trailing stop. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And oh, what's over here? You know, ADD kicks in, you know, something pulls me away. And before I know it, I turn around, I'm like, crap, within like 2 minutes, it shot up 3 points. So I wasn't following the proper process. Now, waiting patiently as I preach is a big part of the process. Yeah, I know. It was Kevin. Well, I think it was you, Brian, that brought up that once before. I'm not sure why you bring that up so often, but teach his own, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. No, I didn't realize it was Kevin Bacon getting spanked in Animal House. We cover a lot of ground in here, don't we? Anyway, waiting patiently as I preach, this was another one of my shower thoughts I put in the last minute, is a big part of the process. And it really, really is. And I think I've said this 1,000 times, and I don't know what's my most recent record, but I remember once I went in and I noticed in the trading service, I went 53 days. And there were recommendations at that time, but there were 53 days, okay, where nothing triggered and it had very few recommendations. So I thought that was pretty good. Mark Douglas talks a lot about the knowledge gap, and it was, I think it was in one of the YouTube videos. I couldn't find anything on it in his books, but it's worthwhile to research that. And he basically says if you do to trading, you think that if you lose money, there's a knowledge gap. There's something that you don't know, and there's something that somebody else knows. And if you only knew that, then you'd be great. Well, as I preach, it's a million little things. And if you've been around for a little while, especially if you're trading one pattern and you're doing all these things like looking for persistency, acceleration, all these things I preach about, okay? And ideally the sector backing you, and ideally when the market's trending too, draw your big blue arrows. It's not rocket science, right? If you're doing those things and it's all conceptually correct and you're using stops and taking initial profits and all that other good stuff, then you know enough to trade, okay? And don't beat yourself up and feel like if I only knew more, because that knowledge gap can lead you, as I've said in presentations prior, can lead you on a grail hunt, which does not exist, unfortunately. So make sure you trade through a variety of conditions so you don't fall into that knowledge gap.